And good evening. You're listening to Modern Mystic Radio. I'm your host, Sarah, and you're listening to Ask One Radio Network, the world's #1 psychic radio network. Now, I am really excited today because I have a special guest with me, and I'm going to introduce her in just a moment. But before I do that, I'm going to remind you how you can get through to me. Outside of the show, you can go and visit my website, www.modern-mystic.co.uk. Also on Facebook and Twitter and all the other social media networks as well. Right, so I'm really excited because today I'm absolutely blessed. We all are blessed because we've got the wonderful Fran Proctor Gibbs with us. Now, Fran is an exceptional psychic and a colleague of mine as well, and I've had the pleasure of knowing her for a few years, and I'm going to now hand over to Fran and introduce Fran to all of you at home. Hi Fran, are you there?
I am. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad, my lovely. Having a great time so far.
Oh, fantastic. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Right, so Fran, I mean, obviously I know all about you, but if you wouldn't mind just telling our listeners a little bit more about you, how you work.
Absolutely. Well, my name's Fran. Oh, I'm delighted to be here, I have to say. And I have been a clairvoyant for many, many years, and I work as a psychic medium. When I say many years, it's over 30 years now. I added it up the other day and it's 32 years. So it really is a very, very long time. Yes, I have my own Facebook Live feed, which I'm loving doing. And, you know, I've known you, Sarah, for I don't know how long, because we worked in the studios together. So it's like I've known you forever. I like to do my numerology. I like to do my astrology. I love working hands-free. So just feeling and connecting with the energies in the room. And then, of course, there are other tools that I use, like the Chinese Huanying sticks. Everybody works very differently, but I like to bring a little bit of everything to the table and to see where it goes.
Oh, fantastic. So tell us a little bit about how you entered the psychic world. What's your journey?
Well, many years ago, probably when I was about 18 or 19, I went to a place called the College of Psychic Studies in southwest London. And I did a few courses, and I dipped my toe in the pond. And I was a dancer back in the day. And every time I used to go on tour, or if I was in a new ballet company, the girls would say, read my cards, do my coffee cup, do my teacup. Or just whenever they had a situation, they'd come forwards. And I always seemed to be bang on the money, and it grew from there. And my interest really got reignited about 25 years ago, just before I had my daughter. And I was living out in Australia, and I was living in a place called Fremantle, and they have a huge, what I like to call Mystic Meg community. There's a massive community out there. And I got back involved with it then. And then when I came back to the UK, it just carried on. And then I worked on Psychic TV and Psychic and Soul. And it was just something that grew. And I've got my own private practice. And I love it because you're given a glimpse into other people's worlds. And you can step in and you go in, you have a look at the stuff. And, you know, we are all very privileged and very honoured to be allowed into people's lives. And it really is that snapshot into why things are the way they are that I love doing every single day.
Oh, absolutely. So, I mean, I've had my first psychic experiences in childhood. When did you realise you were psychic, or when did you kind of get the idea that, you know, you were having psychic experiences?
Well, my dad was psychic, as was his mother. And she hasn't been with us for many years, but her name was Zelda. And there used to be this whole North London community that would come and visit her. And they'd sit in her parlour, like she'd invite them into the parlour. And my granddad was kicked out of the house for the afternoon, and he used to go down the pub. And she would have people coming into her parlour, as she called it, and she would just let them visit. And she was like known through the whole of North and Northwest London. And my dad saw this as a child. And then, of course, I saw it when I was a child. And she always used to say to my dad, "Oh, watch that one in the corner." And so I knew from a very, very early sort of It's almost the first thing that I remember. I remember that and pulling carrots in the garden with my granddad when he was banished from the house because she had people in the parlour. And it's always been part of my world. And it's something that I think everybody can do. But some people, they just sort of grow away from it, or they let it go when they're about 8 or 9. But I think everybody is born with the ability, and it's just whether you decide to keep it up or not.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I started, I would say I had some really strong experiences when I was around 7 or 8. You know, I used to see spirit vividly. And that was my first, I want to say my first experience really of the psychic world. And it's also where I first got in contact with my psychic guides, my spiritual guides as well. So I became very much aware of them. Then obviously, you know, life takes over, and you know, you forget, don't you? And I think I was probably at the same age as you know, around 17 when I got sort of back into it, when I started doing readings for people, you know, on the professional level. But yes, you're pitching me at the post really with your 30 plus years. I'm only on 27.
I'm very old now. I'm very old now, my lovely. But you know, I've also realised recently that this sort of world that we absolutely take as a given, you know, because we do it all the time, it's a given. People are becoming more and more interested. People are reaching out for what they like to think of as, you know, the world of mysticism. And I remember back in the 80s, it was a little bit, oh, God, we're going to go and see that woman around the corner. And it was a little bit under the table. Whereas now everybody wants to have their own experience. Everybody wants to explore the world of the psychic, the clairvoyant, the medium. Yeah. And I love that. So what was different back in the 70s and 80s, absolutely now is just normal and taken for granted. So I feel that it's gone full circle. And that how it was way back before even you and I were born, sweetheart, 200, 300, 400 years ago, when everybody used to go and see the woman down the road. We've now got back to that point.
Absolutely. Now, do you have your most memorable psychic experience? What's the one thing that really sort of strikes a chord with you?
What strikes a chord with me as a reader is, I remember the first time that I was passing somebody by, and it was before I knew how to sort of close down and sort everything out. I remember I was walking past somebody and I got this sense that I just needed to speak to them. And I must have come out with what, you know, looking back was, you know, a whole load of gobbledygook. And this poor woman looked completely stricken. And I found out later that her mother had passed about 10 days before, and it was the day before her mother's services. And I'd said a couple of things that had really resonated with her, and apparently she was quite happy, but I was left with this woman in tears in front of me. And I remember thinking, this is, you know, an unmanageable sort of force. And that's when I went to the College of Psychic Studies, and I have never taken it for granted, because the words that you say to somebody can have such a profound effect, but you have to know when to pick your moment. And back at 16 and 17, I didn't know when to pick my moment. And that was the beginning of a very steep learning curve for me.
Oh, wow. So you mentioned earlier that you work sort of psychically, clairvoyantly, and mediumistically. So yes. What are the differences between those three for our viewers, for our listeners?
Well, mediumship for me is all about when you connect with people that have passed over. So maybe your Aunt Maisie's not here anymore. Maybe you want to contact your parents, or maybe spirit is trying to come through and give you a message. That's what being a medium is all about. As a psychic, we look at you and we sense what's going on in your world, and we feel the issues, we feel the situations, and we offer you varying paths that you could follow, and we know the conclusions of them all. And it's for you guys out there to make a choice, because everybody has free will and choice in everything they do in the world. And clairvoyance, it's based on a French word, which means to see clearly. And it's looking ahead in somebody's world. It's looking ahead and giving them little snapshots of what's to come. Most people, I think, have a clairvoyant personality. They can see what's coming up for them, but sometimes we don't want to go down that path, do we? And it works a little bit better if somebody else tells you what's coming, because if you see it for yourself, you always try and second guess it.
Absolutely. And what came for you first? Was it the mediumship? Was it the psychic? How did you? What happened? In terms of your development, your psychic development. Was it more the people that have passed over that came through for you, or was it just your psychic picking up on somebody's vibe? How did that work for you?
It was the mediumship, because my grandmother Zelda, she was, a medium. That's what she did. She contacted and brought people through. And that was the first thing that I noticed, because a little bit like you, when I was little, I remember I would have whole conversations with people. It never fazed my dad. But I remember my mother, who was like a very Parisian French woman, was completely thrown by what was going on. And she said, what's she doing? But, and I was very small. I probably was about the age that you were, sort of 5, 6, 7. And my dad thought that it was absolutely normal. But I think is the thing that comes through for most people first, is the mediumship, because you can connect to the energies that have been left behind by the people that have passed over, and you hear them. And I think all children hear it. I think all children can hear it. But then, as you go to school, you go to preschool, you go to secondary school, you leave all that behind. And it's not till a little bit later that you sort of tap back into those energies.
Absolutely. It's something that I really do resonate with strongly myself, and my children. Also, having experiences, and it's something that you have to kind of guide your children through, and not sort of like poo-poo it, and not sort of get them to dismiss it. But me being psychic, I wouldn't do that. But right, I wanted to also talk about your future plans, because I think you've got exciting plans, haven't you?
I do. I'm having this has been, so far, I'm going to say this year, the year of the rooster, 2017, has been a really exciting year for me. I've just branched out into a new business, which is very exciting. And I'd love it if people came and had a look at my Facebook page, which is Fran International Psychic Medium on Facebook. Come and have a look at the page. And every day we're doing 2 live feeds. There's one in the morning, one in the afternoon, and we are letting people come through, connect with spirit, and we're giving out the messages. The website is about to be up and running. It's not done yet because, we're being very picky over my graphics. I wanted some nice photographs where I didn't look like an old crone. So I'm being very picky about the graphics, and that's taking a while to get up and running, but it should be done in the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, I've got my own text service, which I'm delighted about. And my text number is 85358 if you're in the UK. And it'll be on my Facebook. It will be on my website. And I'm doing all of that. And I'm doing all the Mind, Body, Spirits across the UK, which is very, very, very exciting. I've nearly finished my book. So fingers crossed that I get that done by the end of April, because if not, my publisher is going to be very, very upset. And I still can't pick a title. I've got 3 or 4 to choose from, and I still can't pick it. So there's loads of stuff going and growing and developing. And all of it for me is very, very exciting. And I feel that it's about opening a new chapter. It's about opening the doors and taking a step forwards, just one step beyond what I was doing before. And I am absolutely enjoying every moment of it, a little bit like you are. You're having an amazing time right now. And to see people doing really well and growing and developing and going on a pathway that they enjoy, it's amazing.
Yes, I have to admit, I am enjoying everything that's kind of going on, and falling into this year. It's just kind of been a bit of a journey already, and it's only March. It's only March.
It is, I know.
Goodness knows what the rest of the year will bring. But I remember you saying, with your Facebook Live element here that you're bringing into your business and everything. Tell us a little bit more about what you're kind of hoping to include in some of your broadcasts.
Oh, do you know what? It's so exciting. I've done 2 today, and I mean, the audience is growing by the day, which is amazing. But we're connecting with spirit that has passed over. So people might come through and say, they'll give their name, and then we'll pluck the people from the sky. The sad thing is I don't get to everybody. But when you've got 50 or 60 people all sort of instant messaging you at the same time, you've got to go to the spirit that's coming through the strongest. I'm also going to be having... It sounds a bit complicated, but I'm going to be having special thoughts of the day that are going to go out on the Facebook page. But with the Facebook Live, it's about growing a whole community. And I've noticed that some of my regular viewers are starting to contact each other and do instant messaging between each other. And there was a great big conversation going on today between 35 people. They were all talking about the messages they'd had, and I could see the feed going up.
Oh,
and
wow.
I know it was amazing, but then, sometimes spirit comes forwards. And I got left today with two little girls in my kitchen. One of them's been with me since yesterday afternoon, but nobody's come forward to claim her. So sometimes I sort of put a big call out there. I say, look, I've got this little girl. This is her name. This is her age. Is there anybody out there? And I give all the information that I can give. And then I just have to wait for the right person to turn up. I've only been left with this one girl, which, I've only been doing my Facebook Live for a week, but she's sticking with me. I don't think she's going to go until her mum comes through.
Aww.
And I know, but I'm hoping that her mother's going to come through tomorrow, because somebody said, I think I know who it is. But the thing about Facebook Live is it's such an instant way of connecting. It's such an instant way of getting that connection. You might be in your living room, you might be in your kitchen cooking, and you've suddenly got a sense that there's somebody there, or there's somebody that you want to connect with. And in the space of 2 clicks on your computer, you can come through and there we go. There they are. You get that resonation that you're looking for. You get that sort of completion of the journey that you're looking for. And you can go back to make your spag bowl. So I think that it's a great way forwards.
It is, and it's something that I'm enjoying as well. Now we have a caller that's for you.
Thank you.
Now this lady, her name is Pani. And she's actually from London. So, she's from London.
Good evening to both the lovely ladies. So thank you for your positivity. It's very important we get some positivity because there's so much going on around in negativity. We just need people to be just a bit, it makes someone smile a bit more.
Absolutely.
Every day. But thank you. I've been listening to what you've been saying.
I'm going to hand you over, Pani, to the lovely Fran, who's going to do a reading for you. So is there a question that you have for Fran?
Yes. I've been having a lot of job issues throughout the last decade plus. And I am a qualified person. I'm modest in who I am. And I'm hardworking. I'm an honest person, and I always have good intentions. But I've been left without a job at the moment, and there's just nothing moving in terms of my work. And I was just wondering, I can't think anymore because I've just thought it out, and maybe someone else can give me some insight. It's just about that guidance or some direction to look at, because I've done a lot of applications, but just nothing is moving at all. So this is why I'm calling you this evening.
Oh, thank you very much, my lovely. Thank you so much for coming through. I feel, as I'm looking at you, that you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing all the right things. You're ticking all my boxes. You're sending the applications out. You're looking outside of the box. I get a sense that you're looking at things that perhaps you wouldn't have been looking at 3 or 4 months ago.
Yes.
I get a sense that you're making, thank you, my lovely. I get a sense that you're making all the right connections. I also get a sense when I'm looking at you that you're feeling very emotional right now. Some of that I'm going to put down to that full moon energy that we've had over the last couple of days. Some of that I'm going to put down to the fact that we are still in the tail end of Pisces, which is the final sign of the Western zodiac. And at the end of the year, when we're in Pisces, people really weigh up the pros and cons of difficult situations. And you've got both those things fighting within you. And so you are feeling a little bit lower than you would normally feel. Positivity is coming back in. And I think as soon as we get into the sign of Aries, you're going to be raring to go. I wish I could say that I feel a job landing on your doorstep by the end of this month. I think I'm going into the new financial year for us here in the UK. So I think I'm past the end of that first week of April. And that's when I start to get this sense of applications being better received and you having the ability to go on the interviews that are going to be coming up. I've got 3 in the space of a week. All of them are very different from what you've done before. It's almost like I'm going to polar opposites. And there's 3 of them. One you'll drop almost straight away and you'll think, no, that's absolutely not for me. And then I've got 2, and it's quite a close call between which one you absolutely want to go to. One of them has quite a stringent recruitment process, and I think that you go at least I think you have to go in 3 times. So I think it's a meet and greet, I think it's an interview, and then I think it's a final interview. Both of them land on your doorstep, I think, somewhere towards the end of the first, beginning of the second week in April. Then I've got that quite lengthy application process and interview process taking me to the end of April, maybe even halfway through May. And at that point, you'll know which direction that you're going in. I don't want you to feel down, because I think that you've got a lot of amazing character traits that are phenomenal, but you've got an amazing skill set as well. You're very good with people. You're very good at what you do. You've got a really analytical mind, but there's a creative side when you're dealing with people. So you've got amazing skills there. It's just about pitching you in the right place. And I think that is coming. But I have to say, I think that for you to go full circle and get what you're looking for, I think I'm halfway through May.
Okay. Because it's just been my back against the wall, it's kind of I start, and then I'm just wondering, okay, what's going on? And that is what's worrying me. And I think everything begins in my life with, I don't know, I think I feel grounded when I have a job.
Yeah, well, everybody does. Everybody does, because most people, they do validate themselves by what they're doing, the job that they're doing, the direction that they're going in. And I'm going to say, I think the job market for everybody anywhere in the world, it has never been this tough. People are working for less money. They're working longer hours. The pool of people is enormous, and people are picking and choosing. And if one person isn't working out, that's it, you're gone, and they'll bring somebody else in. Having said that, I think you've got pretty close to perfect on a couple of occasions. But especially with one job, I feel that they have a history, something that you were doing, I think it's last year, they've got a history of getting rid of people after 6 or 7 months. It seems like they always get rid of people.
I had a very bad experience 5 years ago. I changed the job, and I landed up with a woman that totally harassed me. And it's been since then, I've just, I've struggled with all of it. And I think it's just the culmination of all of that. And I don't know, sometimes you have the best intentions, but it just goes the total opposite way. And,
but I think also when somebody has affected your confidence and they've knocked your confidence, it has an ongoing effect when you're going for work. And I believe that everybody has an opportunity to reinvent themselves as often as they want. So if you're stuck with a set of circumstances, if you're stuck with a feeling of what happened in a previous job and the fact that it's dogged you through the last 3, 4, 5 years, we all have a responsibility to ourselves to think, okay, the way I am, with my sensitivities the way it is, I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm going to be a different person when I walk through the door here. And I look at you and I think you have that capacity, but I'm going to stick with my timing, and I'm going to stick with, I think things start to shift as we go into the beginning of our new financial year, so that's the beginning of April. A relatively lengthy interview process, I think somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks. And then I've got 2 opposing jobs. There are 3 to start off with. You knock one out of the ballpark pretty quick. Then you've got the 2. And at that point, you're going to have to think about where you want to go, the one that you feel resonates best with you. And when I'm looking, I've got one that's got quite, I think the writing on the door, it feels quite long, but the other one is known just by its initials, a bit like the BBC or ABC or...